welcome back to Cosmic Rabbit. I have fallen into quite the rabbit hole. So, as I mentioned many times before, I'm fairly new to this. I've always loved UFOs and that topic, but it's only been since recently that I've really taken the time to dig into it, research, and learn. There's so much to learn out there. And so this might be something you guys already heard about, but it's the first time that I'm hearing about it, and it's optogenetics. And what it basically is using light to control neurons in your brain. That sounds insane, but it's real. Just to preface this, there's a lot to learn. Pavel on Psychoactivo just did a really good episode about if you're new and you're starting out with all of this, especially after Lou's appearance on The Daily Show, there are a lot of people who are not really familiar with the topic, brand new to the topic, never thought about it. That's a really good episode to start with. I am more of a new follower, although I've loved this topic for a long time. I really haven't dove in until quite recently, so I am also new, and I don't know if you followers are new as well. I know a lot of you have been following it for a long time and could probably teach me some stuff, but this topic of optogenetics is crazy. I'd never heard of it, and it kind of ties in to what some of the abductees are talking about. So let me get into it a little bit. I think I'm probably going to be doing a deeper episode on this because there's a lot of information, and I just wanted to get it out and see what you guys thought about it, what you know about it. And then I'll do some more research and bring that back to you guys. Okay, so research started on optogenetics around the 2000s, but the real breakthrough came in 2005. And I might add a quick clip of what it is and what the mechanism is. But
that. It's called optogenetics, and it's a method for controlling the function of cells using light. Even though it sounds a lot like mind control, optogenetics is really most useful for learning what specific cells do or for treating certain conditions. It does this by using light to control certain pathways on a cell's surface called ion channel receptors. These are sort of like switches that start and stop electrical signals traveling down your cells. Normally they're activated when molecules like neurotransmitters attach themselves to the receptor. That causes charged atoms or ions to move into the cell, which generates an electrical current that can make other cells stop or start firing. These channels are ultimately what makes your body move and function. Optogenetics works by using light to control this process instead of molecules like neurotransmitters. Using fiber optic wires, scientists can transmit precise light pulses that last just 1,000th of a second directly to a small group of cells, and that triggers ion channels to open and start sending signals. Now, even before this method, researchers had been trying to control ion channels for years. To really study a small number of neurons, researchers needed fast, accurate signals. And that's where optogenetics shined a light on the problem, literally. It all works thanks to special proteins called opsins, which are naturally found in organisms like microbes or green algae. When they're exposed to certain particles of light, they'll generate an electrical signal and open a cell's ion channels. We've actually known this about opsins since the 1970s. It took until the beginning of the 21st century for scientists to really understand the applications of them. They realized that if they could somehow get these opsins into animal cells, they'd be able to control the ion channels in the fast, accurate way they needed. And in 2005, they did it for the first time. In the journal Nature Neuroscience, researchers announced that they'd introduced opsins into a rat's brain cell, although the cell was in a petri dish and not a live animal. When they shone blue light on it, it showed a spike in electrical activity. Essentially, they had made a light-sensitive brain cell. But trying this on live mammals was a lot harder, because smuggling opsins into a living cell is tricky business. To do it, researchers had to develop a special virus that could transfer the protein onto the surface of an animal's cells without the virus itself running haywire. Then if that worked, they could just insert a wire into the animal's brain and use an LED or laser to start manipulating neurons. And they did it. In 2007, scientists demonstrated this technique for the first time in a live animal by applying optogenetics to cells in the motor cortex of a mouse. By transmitting blue light down the optical fiber in the mouse's brain, they could make the mouse walk in circles and make it stop when they turned off the light. Pretty weird. Many other studies also use optogenetics to study how cell activity correlates with behavior and bodily function. For example, in one study from the journal Nature, the researchers manipulated cells that put fruit flies to sleep and then could wake them up on command. Those same cells are involved in the fruit fly's internal sleep clock, which has similarities to the one in humans.
From what I understand, it's using light to turn on and off certain neurons and like firing their action potentials. So theoretically, this means that depending on which neuron you're choosing to turn on and off, you can control different parts of your brain. So what I was learning was it could be behaviors, it could be memories, it could be certain neurological diseases. From what I saw online, they were quote unquote for like the benefit of humanity and health and stuff. But this wouldn't be the first time that something like this is being used for things like mind control or to erase memories. The erasing memories part, you'll see why that's kind of why I got hooked in on this. I did initially look and try to find out whether or not this can be done without having to add that gene, and it could, but it's not as effective. And this was from like 10 years ago, the article that I was reading and the things that I was looking at. And so it's possible that they found other ways. There's also different ways of, besides adding a gene, I saw that you could also use electromagnetic waves or ultrasound. So I'm sure there's other things, like I said, I'm going to dive deeper into it. But I just thought it was crazy that the use of light can control the neurons in our brains. And I also found it crazy that certain parts of the government, of course, are researching into this. And how long have they been doing this? Who knows? For those of you that are new to this, you might be thinking like, why the hell would the government or defense agencies even bother with this? Well, look up MKUltra. I had to look it up, but just a few things about MKUltra. It was started by the CIA in and around 1953, where they used unknowing subjects. They administered drugs to try to like do mind control, behavior control, all this to see if the mind could be manipulated, to see if behaviors can be manipulated. So it's not like it's completely crazy that they would use this technique as well to see how they can use it for defense purposes. Another similar type of research would be remote viewing, which, if you're new to all this, remote viewing is really viewing a different space without going there, just using your mind to look at a specific location. And a lot of these remote viewers that were being researched in the CIA, this is unclassified and on their website, a lot of them would also talk about being able to view things through time. So if this was being researched, if remote viewing was being researched, I can't imagine that optogenetics hasn't been researched or looked at or even used for the purposes that they're talking about. Now, remote viewing came after the MKUltra stuff, but again, it's something that was researched and studied and used by the government, at least the remote viewing part was. So the thing that got me kind of like, that caught my attention was the use of light to stimulate brain activity. So, I mean, I don't mean to like bring up the whole Men in Black thing, the movie I mean, but there was a bunch of, like using the lights in order to erase your memories. And this claim that's on that movie has been reported by a lot of abductees when they're talking about their experiences, saying, oh, I saw a bright light, or there was a flash of light, different color lights, and then they forget, have no memory after that. And so could they have learned these techniques from NHI? I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Or am I being paranoid? Another interesting nugget that I found online was that DARPA has looked into this research. And I had to learn this too, by the way. DARPA is the research arm of the DoD, which is the Department of Defense. Obviously, the Department of Defense is tasked with national security, and so that kind of makes you wonder, why in the heck would you be studying optogenetics for national security unless you've got some kind of interest as they did for remote viewing in the CIA. So how far have they come with that? I know that Stanford had like a breakthrough in 2005 on optogenetics. These researchers, or this research that's been done into optogenetics, I'm sure is being looked into, as I just mentioned. DARPA has expressed interest in neural manipulation for the use of medical and military purposes. So this just really has gotten me down that rabbit hole. And if this is something that has been researched since encounters with NHI, because obviously with NHI, if they are in fact using this to erase memories prior or before, perhaps they're not needing to introduce a gene into the person's neurons in order to do that. Obviously, they probably have a far more advanced version of this, or I don't know. It's just, I think it's crazy. Tell me in the comments what you guys think, if you guys have heard of this, if you guys know more information on it. Like I said, I'm new to all this too, and I think it'll be fun as a community, as a group, to research these things, because not everyone knows everything. And like I said, I haven't come across optogenetics until now. I haven't heard anybody talk about this specifically. I didn't know that there was research, such heavy research that's being looked at by the DoD or DARPA about this. And they've kind of, from what I read, they said that they're not publicly announcing that they're interested in this. Obviously, it's pretty new, relatively. I mean, it's like 20 years, but we haven't really heard very much about it. And so I reached out to a couple of neurologists or people studying specifically this topic to see if maybe they'll get back to me and I could learn a little bit more about it. But I will let you guys know. Please let me know what you think about this, and if you learned anything. Aside from that, maybe optogenetics is the new or next area of research for mind control. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's pretty crazy. Anyway, that was it. I just wanted to put this short video out there on that, get you guys thinking. Let me know if you've heard of this before. Let me know if you know anything else about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and don't forget to keep an open mind. I'll see you guys in the next video.